Boys and girls, I'm going to do some reading tonight to you of our Wonder Book. I want to get this finished before we go to break. So I'm going to try to record the rest of the book tonight so we can get it finished before we go to winter break. The Augie Doll. For a while, the war was all we talked about. February was when it was really at its worst. That's when practically nobody was talking to us, and Julian had started leaving notes in our lockers. The notes to Jack were stupid, like, "You stink, Big Cheese, and nobody likes you anymore." I got notes like, "Freak," and another that said, "Get it out of our school, orc." Summer thought we should report the notes to Miss Rubin, who was the middle school dean, or even Mr. Tushman, but we thought that would be like snitching. Anyway, it's not like we didn't leave notes too, though ours weren't really mean. They were kind of funny and sarcastic. One was, "You're so pretty, Julian. I love you. Will you marry me? Love, Bula." Another was, "Love your hair. XOX, Bula." Another was, "You're a babe. Tickle my feet. XO, Bula." Bula was a made-up person that me and Jack came up with. She had really gross habits, like eating the green stuff in between her toes and sucking on her knuckles. And we figured someone like that would have a real crush on Julian, who looked and acted like someone in a Kid Spot commercial. There were also a couple of times in February when Julian, Miles, and Henry played tricks on Jack. They didn't play tricks on me, I think, because they knew that if they got caught bullying me, it would be big time trouble for them. Jack, they figured, was an easier target. So one time they stole his gym shorts and played monkey in the middle with them in the locker room. Another time, Miles, who sat next to Jack in homeroom, swiped Jack's worksheet off his desk, crumbled it in a ball, and tossed it to Julia across the room. That wouldn't have happened if Miss Petosa had been in there, of course, but there was a substitute teacher that day, and subs never really know what's going on. Jack was good about this stuff. He never let them see he was upset, though I think sometimes he was. The other kids in the grade knew about the war, except for Savannah's group. The girls were neutral at first, but by March they were getting sick of it, and so were some of the boys. Like another time when Julian was dumping some pencil sharpener shavings into Jack's backpack, Amos, who was usually tight with them, grabbed the backpack out of Julian's hands and returned it to Jack. It was starting to feel like the majority of the boys weren't buying into Julian anymore. Then a few weeks ago, Julian started spreading this ridiculous rumor that Jack had hired some hitman to get him, and Miles and Henry. This lie was so pathetic that people were actually laughing about him behind his back. At this point, any boys who had still been on his side now jumped ship and were clearly neutral. So by the end of March, only Miles and Henry were on Julia's side. And I think even they were getting tired of the war by then. I'm pretty sure everyone stopped playing the plague game behind my back too. No one really cringes if I bump into them anymore. And people borrow my pencils without acting like the pencils has cooties. People even joke around with me sometimes. Like the other day, I saw Maya writing a note to Ellie on a piece of Ugly Doll stationery. And I don't know why, but I just kind of randomly said, "Did you know the guy who created the Ugly Dolls based that on me?" Maya looked at me with her eyes wide open like she totally believed me. Then, when she realized I was only kidding, she thought it was the funniest thing in the world. "You are so funny, August," she said. And then she told Ellie and some of the other girls that had just said, and what I had just said, and they all thought it was funny too. Like at first they were shocked, but then when they saw I was laughing about it, they knew it was okay to laugh about it too. And the other day I found a little Ugly Doll keychain sitting on my chair with a nice little note from Maya that said, "For the nicest Augie Doll in the world, XO, Maya." 6 months ago, stuff like that would have never happened, but now it happens more and more. Also, people have really been nice about the hearing aids I started wearing. Lobot. Ever since I was little, the doctor told my parents that someday I'd need hearing aids. I don't know why this always freaked me out a bit, Maybe because anything to do with my ears bothers me a lot. My hearing was getting worse, but I hadn't told anyone about it. The ocean sound that was always in my head had been getting louder. It was drowning out people's voices, like I was underwater. I couldn't hear teachers if I sat in the back of the class, but I knew if I told Mom and Dad about it, I'd end up with hearing aids. And I was hoping I could make it through 5th grade without having that happen. But then, in my annual checkup in October, I flunked the audiology test, and the doctor was like, dude, it's time. And he sent me to a special ear doctor who took impressions of my ears. Of all of my features, my ears were the ones I hate the most. They're like tiny closed fists on the side of my face. They're too low on my head, too. They look like squashed pieces of pizza dough sticking out on the top of my neck or something. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but I really hate them. When the ear doctor first pulled the hearing aids out for me and Mom to look at, I groaned. I'm not wearing that thing, I announced, folding my arms in front of me. I know they probably look kind of big, but the ear doctor, but we had to attach them to a headband because we had no other way of making them so they'd stay in your ears. See, normal hearing aids usually have a part that wraps around the outer ear to hold the inner bud in place. But in my case, since I don't have outer ears, they had to put earbuds on this heavy-duty headband that was supposed to wrap around the back of my head. I can't wear that, Mom, I whined. You'll hardly notice them, said Mom, trying to be cheerful. They'll look like headphones. Headphones? Look at them, Mom, I said angrily. I'll look like Lobot. Which one is Lobot? said Mom calmly. Lobot, the ear doctor smiled as he looked at the headphones and made some adjustments. The Empire Strikes Back? The bald guy with the cool bionic radio transmitter thing that wraps around the back of his skull. I'm drawing a blank, said Mom. You know, Star Wars stuff, I asked the ear doctor. No Star Wars stuff, he answered, slipping the thing over my head. I practically invented Star Wars stuff. He leaned back in his chair to see how the headband fit and then took it off again. Now, Augie, I want to explain what all of this is, he said, pointing to the different parts of one of the hearing aids. This curved piece of plastic over here connects to the tubing on the ear mold. That's why we took those impressions back in December, so that this part that goes into your ear fits nice and snug. This part here is called the tone hook, okay? And this thing is a special part we've attached to this cradle here. The Lobot part, I said miserably. Hey, Lobot is cool, said the ear doctor. It's not like we're saying you look like the Jar Jar, you know. That would be bad. He slid the earphones on my head again carefully. There you go, August. How's that? Totally uncomfortable, I said. You'll get used to them very quickly, he said. I looked in the mirror. My eyes started tearing up. All I saw were tubes jutting out from either side of my head, like antennas. Do I really have to wear this, Mom? I said, trying not to cry. I hate them. They don't make any difference. Give it a second, buddy, said the doctor. I haven't even turned them on yet. Wait until you hear the difference. You'll want to wear them. No, I won't. And then he turned them on. Hearing brightly. How can I describe what I heard when the doctor turned on my hearing aids? Or what I didn't hear? It's too hard to think of words. The ocean just wasn't inside my head anymore. It was gone. I could hear sounds like shiny lights in my brain. It was like when you're in a room where one of the light bulbs on the ceiling isn't working, and then you realize how dark it is until you don't realize how dark it is until someone changes the bulb. And then you're like, whoa, it's so bright in here. I didn't know if there's a word that meant the same as bright in terms of hearing, but I wish I knew one, because my ears were hearing brightly now. How does that sound, Augie? Said the ear doctor. Can you hear me okay, buddy? I looked at him and smiled, but I didn't answer. Sweetie, do you hear anything different? Said Mom. You don't have to shout, Mom. I said. I nodded happily. Are you hearing better? Asked the ear doctor. I don't hear that noise anymore, I answered. It's so quiet in my ears. The white noise is gone, I said, nodding. He said, nodding. He looked at me and winked. I told you you'd like what you heard, August. He made some more adjustments on the left hearing aid. Does it sound different, love? Mom asked. Yeah, I nodded. It sounds lighter. That's because you have a bionic hearing. You have bionic hearing now, buddy, said the ear doctor, adjusting the right side. Now touch here. He put my hand behind the hearing aid. Do you feel that? That's the volume. You have to find the volume that works for you. You're going to do that next. What do you think? He picked up a small mirror and had me look in the big mirror at how the hearing aids looked in my back. My hair covered most of the headband. The only part that peeked out was the tubing. Are you okay with your new bionic Lobot hearing aids? The ear doctor asked, looking in the mirror at me. Yeah, I said, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. James, said Mom. The first day I showed up at school with the hearing aids, I thought kids would make a big deal about it, but no one did. Summer was glad I could hear better. And Jack said it made me look like an FBI agent or something. But that was it. Mr. Brown asked me about an English class, but it wasn't like, what the heck is that thing on your head? It was more like, if you need me to repeat anything, Augie, make sure you tell me, okay? Now that I look back, I don't know why I was so stressed about it all this time. Funny how sometimes you worry a lot about something and it turns out to be nothing. Via's secret. A couple of days after spring break ended, Mom found out that Via hadn't told her about a school play that was happening at her high school the next week, and Mom was mad. Mom doesn't really get mad that much, though Dad would disagree with that. But she was really mad at Via for that. She and Via got into a huge fight. I could hear them yelling at each other in Via's room. My bionic Lobot ears could hear Mom saying, but what is it with you lately, Via? You're moody and taciturn and secretive. What is so wrong with my not telling you about a stupid play? Via practically screamed. I don't even have a speaking part. Your boyfriend does. Don't you want us to see him in it? No, actually, I don't. Stop screaming. You screamed first. Just leave me alone, okay? You've been really good about leaving me alone my whole life. So why do you choose high school to suddenly be interested? I have no idea. Then I don't know what Mom answered because it all got very quiet, and even my bionic Lobot ears couldn't pick up a signal.